I'm going to say this now so that hopefully I don't say it again and break things up. But basically we'll be doing like a balance exercise. You're standing on the block, it's going to give you that extra little lift. It will still challenge your balance and it will still work to stabilize ankle, knee, hip, core, all that jazz. With the towel, so there's a structure. If you imagine this is my foot and my terribly unmobile ankle, you've got like a crisscross of tissue, tendon, ligament, I'm not sure, but crisscrossing, called the retinaculum. And when you're balancing, all the feedback from your foot is essentially processed by the retinaculum. It goes firing up to your brain and back down to your foot and the rest of your body to give you the adjustments you need to keep you on balance. So if you're on your towel type thing, it's going to work that kind of that connection to the foot, and it's going to help condition. It's just going to get that retinaculum kind of going. So you'll still get all the same stability stuff, but we're just working on a slightly different specific area. I don't think that made any sense. I'm really sorry. But let's just start. Sorry, Em, you're gonna have to ditch your toast. Cool, so let's start. Firstly, we're about 5 minutes late starting. Are you guys happy, okay to go on 5 minutes later? Yeah, obviously if you're not, I'm really sorry, and do just dash off. But we'll start with the alternate nostril breath. So get comfy. However you want to sit. So really quick reminder, we'll be using I'm going to use my right hand. I'm going to have my index and my third finger on the center of my forehead. I will use my thumb to block my right nostril, and then I can use my ring finger to block my left. You can also just have your hand however you want, thumb and index finger, whatever you like. But essentially, we'll be blocking the right side of the nose, breathing in through the left, changing, so opening up or releasing the right and blocking the left, and then exhaling through the right side. Inhale through the right, change the hands at the top, so open the left, block the right, and exhale left. Inhale there, change at the top, exhale. Inhale, change at the top, exhale. So super quick rundown. Hopefully that made some sense. I don't want to spend too long on it. If you get lost, or if you've got a runny nose and all this kind of jazz is not helpful for you, then you're welcome to choose any other type of breath exercise that you know, or just spend some time observing your breath. All right, so getting comfortable, closing your eyes. So we'll all start just by tuning in to our breathing. So noticing that movement, that passage of air into and out from the nose. Breathing in a way that feels comfortable, so it doesn't have to be your longest breath. Hopefully though, those breaths will be quite gentle and quite smooth. So we don't want a big pull in on the in-breath and then a hold and a push out and a hold. So it's this kind of smooth cycle of breathing. You might already be aware of one nostril being more open than the other. And then we'll synchronize our breath to start to move into that Nadi Shodhana, that alternate nostril breathing. We'll do a few rounds together, then move on our own. So synchronizing breath, taking a breath in and breath out. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Bring your hand to position. Close the right side. Exhale left. Inhale left. Switch nostrils at the top. Exhale right. Inhale right. Change at the top, exhale left. Inhale left. Change at the top, exhale right. Inhale right. Change at the top, exhale left. And continuing on your own. And take your time. But next time you exhale through the left nostril, allow your right arm, right hand to relax. Keep your eyes closed. Again, just noticing your breath as it moves now through both nostrils. Noticing if even just that short, that brief couple of minutes has had any subtle effect on how you're feeling. Had any subtle effect on the air, the space around you. Keeping your eyes closed, just gently shifting your focus away from your breath and to the sounds that you can hear. Not reaching out, trying to find sounds, but just being open to any sounds that might reach you. Trying not to label them, but just allow them to become a part of your soundscape and a part of your practice. When you're ready, just gently opening your eyes and making your way up to standing any way you like. So take as much time as you need. There's no rush, but when you are upright, standing comfortably, try not to have the feet super close together, but just whatever's comfortable for you. And we're going to start just by using the hands, the thumbs, and the tips of the fingers to find the pelvis. So our focus for today. So I'm going to start by finding the front of my hip bones, and then you might be able to sort of manipulate and find those hard edges of the ear crest, of the kind of the top of the hips, if you like. So your pelvis sort of like a pair of pants in shape. You might be able to feel the sort of flatter portion at the back of the pelvis. And then your hands can stay on your waist, or they can just kind of relax. But starting to take a few little movements of the hips. Last week we broke it down quite a lot. We did some side to side, some tucks, some sort of tilts and tucks. So feel free to kind of freestyle. I'm going to go for a bit of a figure of 8. So you need to make sure that there's a little bend in the knees. If the legs are straight, immediately your pelvis is going to be a little bit more locked. You won't have quite the same freedom. So just having a little noodle, mindful noodle. The pelvis, this central structure, really, really important. What you do with your pelvis will have an effect on your spine. It will also have an effect on your legs. So if you've got a slightly stiff or sore lower back, you might find that as we work through the practice, as we're moving the hips, there might be some bits that maybe feel good, but there might be some bits that just maybe are a little bit sore or a bit tight. So don't push into those things. You don't have to do more. Let's come back to stillness, and we're going to try and take it into this bicycling action. So if you imagine that you're pedaling, so you're sort of on train tracks, if you like, pedaling, 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 and then we're trying to get the hips to mirror that action. If you're someone like me who finds it helpful to use the arms, then get the arms going first, and then maybe imagine that they are gently attached to the hips with a little thread. If that's not helpful, then of course you're just going to focus on the hips. You're rolling one hip up and forwards as the other comes down and back. And the legs, the feet might shift slightly, but we're trying to avoid pushing from the feet. See if you can change direction, pedaling backwards. Trying to keep the jaw relaxed, the shoulders soft. So we're trying, but we're not trying that hard. And gently bringing the pelvis, the hips back to stillness. Give the legs a little bit of a shake if you want to. And again, hands wherever you want. We're going to connect back, mind and pelvis, or breath and pelvis more specifically. So close your eyes, make sure the knees are just slightly unlocked. Tune back into your breath. And then as you inhale, I want you to imagine that that in-breath is causing or creating a sense of expansion at the pelvis. So the pelvis is getting slightly bigger. And as you breathe out, the pelvis is slightly contracting, hugging in toward a central point. So it's expanding, becoming more spacious with the in-breath, and contracting, drawing in on the out-breath, just a little bit. Of course, anatomically, we're not able to change the size of our pelvis just by breathing, but you might notice, particularly on that out-breath, there is a sense of the body drawing in. You might be just subtly aware perhaps of your pelvic floor lifting, of maybe some of these deeper lower abdominal muscles switching on, or you might feel some activation in your glutes. And when you're ready, again, just breathing normally, so letting that focus fall away, opening your eyes, and if you're not already there, coming to stand at the back of your mat with your feet about hip distance apart. And you're going to take it into a nice easy chair pose. So we're not becoming rigid, arms can be wherever you want. Just shifting the weight slightly, so maybe a few pulses or shifting side to side, just waking up the legs, glutes, abdominals. If you're pulsing, try and make sure it's not too kind of bouncy. Then kind of squeezy down and squeezy up. Weight back in the heels, but still aware of the contact through the toes as well, if possible. Coming all the way up to standing, but you're going to take it back down again into your chair pose, and this time you're going to move the hips, move the pelvis. So maybe some circles or some figure of eights, maybe some sort of cat-cow, tilting and tucking. You can play with getting deeper or coming up a little bit higher in your chair pose. But notice the concentration, the focus that's required. A, to get the pelvis moving, and B, to pay attention to how it feels when you move it. And again, when you're ready, just coming all the way up to standing, feet to the outer edges of your mat to take it down into your malasana, into your wide squat, so turning the toes out. As always, if you're quite comfortable down here, then feel free to bring the feet in closer and turn the toes more parallel. And using this squat any way you like, so whether that's being still, bringing some movement in. If you're a bit higher, that's fine. Maybe seeing how it feels to gently press the little toe, the outer edges of your feet, rolling them down towards the mat, noticing how that affects the knees and the hips, that extra kind of opening. You're going to push down through the feet, so whole sole of the feet pushes down to create the rise, the lift, the standing, taking it back down once again. Left hand out nice and wide, right arm opens, nice big twist, rolling the shoulders down the back of the body. And again, just seeing if you can slightly draw the little toe edges of the feet down, draw the knees back. Switching sides. Thinking of the tailbone sort of hanging down toward the floor. Good, releasing and then using your hands any way you need to help lower your bum to the floor. Excellent. Once you get there, feet about hip distance apart, heels grounded, toes raised, a bend in the knees, and we're going to take a bit of that squid action. So the feet and the legs are circling, toes are coming in, up towards the face, out, round and down. So we're creating that circling action in the hips, head of the femur, rotating in the hip socket where it slots into the pelvis. If you want to get the shoulders going as well, then you can mirror that circling action with the shoulders. You might also feel the spine sort of getting involved there as well. When you're ready, allowing everything to come to stillness, and you're just going to shuffle on your bottom about halfway up your mat. You can keep the feet where they are, or they can kind of walk with you, but you're going about halfway up and then you're going to the back again. And once you reach the back of your mat, you can do the same thing again, or you can lift your feet and then shuffle from there. And you're only going about halfway. It might feel like a bit of a long way, particularly if you've got the feet in the air. But when you get there, you're going to lie down onto your back. Well done, guys. So plant the feet, roll it down. Make sure you're comfortable. And then just imagine the pelvis as being super heavy. Super heavy. Maybe with every exhale, using that out breath to find more weight, more release. So the pelvis is just gently being set down or is sinking deeper into your mat. And then heel toeing the feet to the outer edges of your mat once again. Keep the feet wide as you gently drop the knees right to left at a pace that suits you. Bring a little bit of attention, perhaps, to the pelvis, to the back of the pelvis maybe, as you shift from one side to the other. And again, when you're ready, bring the feet with the knees up to the ceiling, feet back to center, just for a moment, but then drawing the knees in towards your chest, and you can keep some stillness here. You can move, rock side to side, circle the hips, get whatever you want here that's going to allow you to sort of get what you need, whether you want to warm the hips up, whether it's more a conversation with your low back, whether you just want some stillness to melt into that forward fold at the hips. When you're ready to move on again, releasing the soles of the feet back down to the mat, and we're going to work a little bit on stability. So keeping the pelvis nice and steady on the mat, we're going to need a little bit of support from the abdominals. There might be a sense of the lower portion of the spine becoming slightly longer, slightly flatter, drawing down towards the mat beneath you, and taking just a gentle march with the feet. So lifting one foot, bringing it down, lifting the other, not too high. Trying to keep that support of the abdominals, trying to keep the pelvis stable. Trying to keep the jaw relaxed, the breath very free. When you're ready, 2 feet come back down to the mat. Have a little moment to allow everything to release. And then from there, pressing the feet down into the floor, peeling the hips up away from the mat. Now, depending on how everything is feeling, you might just want to stay here, maybe a little bit of moving with the pelvis. If you're in the market for something a bit stronger, again, keeping the hips nice and stable, nice and level, and taking that same little marching action. So now focusing perhaps a little bit less on the abdominals, so they're still going to be providing support, a bit more focus on the back of the body and on that supporting leg. Trying not to let the pelvis, the hips dip from right to left, but also trying not to let it drop down towards the mat either. And again, whenever you're ready, 2 feet come down, release the hips back to the mat. Take a little moment to pause or to stretch, to release any way you like. And then we're going to start rocking up and down the spine. So catching hold anyway, back of the thighs, maybe chin to the chest, tummy in, rocking and rolling up and down. And then we're going to use this to transition into our lunge. So, assuming everything is happy with knees and hips and backs, you're going to rock back, and then as you come up, tap the left leg under, step the right foot forwards, and sort of power yourself into a lunge. I'm just going to shift my mat back a little bit. So you should be with the right leg in front, open up your lunge as much as you want to, and we'll start with a bit of movement. So shifting the hips around your mat, using that movement to sort of massage the body. You're welcome to pick up the back knee. You don't have to stay in a sort of a square lunge to the top of the mat either. When you're ready though, you're going to find a bit of stillness. So you might still have the back knee down, you might have it raised, any lunge variation that you want, that you need, whether it includes a back bend, a lizard, a twist. But just take a little bit of time to pause in your lunge. And then you're going to make a change, another variation, or it might be a very subtle change, to pause again. So last week we took a lunge with the arms overhead, followed by a quad stretch. Of course, you're welcome to take those again, or follow your own path. As you release from that second variation, you're going to come back sort of to where you started in that lunge, right foot forwards, back knee down, but shuffle your back knee a bit further forwards. Kick your left foot 90 degrees over to the right, so crossing it behind you. You're going to rock back through the spine and change legs in your lunge. So rock back as you come up, right leg underneath, step the left foot forwards. Beautiful. Opening up your lunge, well done guys. Opening it up, shifting the hips, moving the pelvis around your mat. Massaging the body. So using this movement, if possible, not to force your way into something a bit deeper, but to melt away any little sort of bits of cobweb, little bits of resistance. Getting ready to move into your first bit of stillness. Doesn't have to be exactly the same as you took on the first side, though of course it can be. Again, making a change. And again, settling into a little bit of stillness once again. Just notice if there's any tension creeping in anywhere that isn't helpful. That tension might come from being too gripped. It also might come from feeling under-supported in the variation that you're in. Once again, releasing, coming back to your starting point, but shuffling your back knee a bit further forward, kicking the right foot behind you, so over to the left, rocking back, and this time we're going to come all the way up to standing. That's your challenge. So you're going to take that rock back, 2 feet to the mat, powering all the way up, to stand, maybe. And if not, coming up, beautiful Alex, 10 points. Coming up anyway, well done, any way you need. Okay. Well, once you're up to standing, just have a bit of time to circle the ankles, just 2 or 3 times in each direction. And then coming to stand at the top of your mat. The arms are going to be doing whatever you need. So you're going to start by picking up your left foot and taking a backwards lunge, a reverse lunge if you like. So landing with 2 bent knees and the back heel lifted, and then you're pushing towards the back of your mat. It's keeping the core nice and strong, so we're trying not to lose power by allowing this to happen. That's going to make our lives much harder. Pick up the left foot again, take it forward, same thing, landing with 2 bent knees, back heel raised, and then push the top of the mat. Same thing on the right leg. So picking up the right foot, stepping back into your lunge, stopping in the middle, so taking out your momentum, big push from the front leg, step it back, good, and then again, right leg lifts, taking it forwards, trying to land confidently but quietly. And again, joining at the top of the mat. We're going to do another round on each leg, and if you want a little bit more, you'll pick up your left foot, and instead of stepping straight back, you're going to rise onto the ball of your right foot, so nice and strong in the right leg. Stepping back to your lunge, your drishti, your eye gaze is important. Once you step back, drop your front heel, and then step back. Pick up the left leg again, same thing, with or without a rise. Forward lunge, stopping at the bottom, stepping forward, same thing on the other leg. Strong center, strong legs, steady focused gaze. Picking up the right foot, stepping back. Again, if that front heel was lifted, drop it down so you've got the power there to push to the back of the mat. Picking up the right leg. Maybe a cheeky little rise as you step forwards, then pause and come to stand. Beautiful. Top of the mat, take the arms up towards the ceiling, hug the shoulders up to your ears, pushing down through the feet, reaching up through the fingertips. Few breaths, keep breathing. When you're ready, using an exhale to take the hands down to the floor, and you're going to step back into a high plank position. A little bit of space between the feet. I'm going to come back to that pelvic breath that we took at the start of the practice. So in your plank, as you inhale, pelvis expanding. As you exhale, pelvis contracting. How does that feel now? Inhale, expanding pelvis. Exhale, hugging in. One more. As you finish your next out breath, bring the knees down, either taking a child's pose or sitting up onto the heels. Just something to release that. And I'm hoping I wasn't the only one shaking profusely in that. All right, when you're ready, making your way into a downward facing dog. Oh, in fact, let's take a little bit of a bonus upper body work. Take it into a plank again. And you're either going to step your hands forwards and or your feet back. So you're going to need to make sure your core is even more switched on than before. Now your challenge, so you can bring the knees down, of course, it's still gonna challenge core, but how many times can I say challenge in one sentence whilst making you hold a plank? You're gonna try and bend the elbows, lower the forearms down to the mat, and then push down through the hands, forearms rise. If you can, you're doing it simultaneously, so you're not going right then left. 2 arms together, bend and stretch. Just 3 to 5. Try not to let the elbows swing wide. And again, once you've done, bringing the knees down and taking a little breather. How was that? Cool. I'm going to take one more little upper body strengthener. So you're going to take it into a downward facing dog. We're going to take some down dog push-ups. Again, maybe 3, 4, 5. 2 variations, 2 options. So the first option, into your down dog, make it slightly shorter. Angle your fingertips inwards slightly. And then as you bend the elbows, think head is moving to the space between the hands and the elbows are wide. And then pushing the arms to straight. My knees are bent and my heels are lifted. So I'm taking the stress out of the hamstrings. Again, bending the elbows, pushing the arms to straight. Head is being lowered to the spot between the hands. If you want something more challenging, the hands are going to stay forwards. You might make your down dog a little bit shorter again. Keeping the hips high, you're going to lean forward into the arms. This time as you bend the elbows, the face is moving to a space beyond the mat. As you bend the elbows, they're staying stacked above the wrists. And you're really getting the arms, the shoulders firing. Again, 3 to 5 is fine, though just a little aside that we might be doing more of these in our next sequence. Well done. Once you have had enough, have a breather, and then make your way up to standing. So if you want to throw in a vinyasa, go for it. If you want to come up, just any which way. But a bit of time to release, to move, and to come to stand at the top of your mat. Excellent. So make sure you've got either your scrunched up towel or your block to the top of your mat. And then coming to stand, having a moment just to land, to ground yourself before you pick up your left leg. You're going to step back into a high lunge. So you want to try and get the left foot to the very back of the mat. Again, on the ball of the back foot, arms floating high or however else you choose to have them. But bringing some attention to the front of the hips, those bony hip bones. If you had lights, torches on the front of your hips, at the moment, they're pointing more towards the top of your mat. You're going to swing them open, shine them to the left, and then bring them back to the top of your mat again. So swinging, open, and then hugging, closed, or more square in inverted commas. Little bend in the back knee will hopefully give you a little bit more freedom for the hips. And then pausing in stillness, somewhere in that high lunge. You might be working with open hips, square hips, anywhere in the middle. We're going to take it into a traditional warrior one. So dropping the back heel in and down. And we want to try and move those headlights more towards the top of the mat. So if that really doesn't feel great for you right now, take your feet wider. So last week, we worked on this a bit in our pyramid pose, that forward fold. We're going to do that as well. But here, in our traditional warrior one, if it's not feeling possible, wider stance, maybe shorter stance, back leg stays strong, and just seeing, not forcing, but seeing. Can I turn my hips? How does that feel on my back knee, on my low back? And then when you're ready, straightening the right leg, turning 90 degrees to the left and finding your goddess pose or your horse stance. So adjusting the legs, toes out, knees out, dropping it down in the middle. Bit of pelvic noodling, side to side, circle, tilting, front to back. Arms can be wherever you want. So you might be quite conscious of the legs moving. Absolutely fine. We don't want to lock them in position. If we lock the legs, the pelvis will also then become a little bit more locked. So we want that freedom. Before coming all the way up, turning 90 degrees to your left again. Now we're moving into that pyramid pose. So same thing. We're trying to move the pelvis a little bit more towards the back of the mat. So shining those lights to the short edge of your mat. So you might need to shorten and widen your stance as you then start to melt over the front leg. If you want a bit more, if you feel pretty comfortable here, either interlacing the hands or taking a reverse prayer behind the back, but hands can come wherever you need. And don't worry too much about a perfect shape. If you want to allow the hips to open, the knees to bend, the heels to raise in any way, do it. What's going to feel more useful for you? That might be going for more challenge today. That might be going for more comfort. So any way you like, taking your time to come all the way up to standing, turning 90 degrees to your right, once again, long edge of the mat. Bring your feet wide and toes into one line, and you're going to take a forward fold or a flat back rather. So tilting the pelvis, tailbone points back behind you, spine hopefully strong and straight. Supporting from the abdominals, speed skater, bending your right knee. Two strong legs, two firm feet. Push down to the right foot, switch it over, speed skater on the left. And again, push down left. Good, bend right. Again, push, shift over to the left. And last time, push over to the right. We want to shift the weight onto your right leg without leaning the body to the top of the mat. So we want to keep that forward position. So shuffling left leg in, really loading up your right leg. Left leg becomes free so that you can lift and tap, and lift and tap, and tap. Get over onto that right leg one more time. Lift and step it into chair pose. Hands come to prayer, and you're going to take a twist to the right. So either left elbow towards outside of right thigh, or you could bring right hand to the low back and extend that left arm down. If you wanted to, if you felt like it, you could keep your chair twist, come up onto the balls of the feet, and maybe have a little play with side crow towards the top of your mat. Maybe. Whenever you're done, 2 feet come down, and you're going to come up to standing. I say that assuming that everyone was like in a side crow. Come up to standing. Just thought I'd throw that in for a little bit of variation. Stand towards the top of your mat. Is everyone okay? Yeah. Grab your block or your towel. If you don't have one, don't worry. Again, if you've got a towel, it wants to be kind of lumpy and creased and bumpy. You're going to stand on your right leg, so your right foot will be on the floor, on the towel, on the block. Little bend in the right knee, and then you're swinging the left leg. And we're not looking for perfection. We want to try and throw ourselves off balance. So not perfectly controlled, but kind of messy and wobbly. Bit of welly to the left leg. Again, really important that your standing knee is bent, so you've got a kind of responsive nature, responsive quality to the right leg. Keep it going. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Dismount. Pop your thing, your prop to one side. Standing at the top of your mat, let's take it through a vinyasa or full sun salutations. The arms are reaching high. Pull the shoulders up to your ears. Before then taking it into your forward fold, into your down dog. Maybe spend a bit of extra time in your down dog if you want to. Vinyasa, of course, is your option. But essentially, you've got a little bit of time here to talk to your body, to take what you need. And once you've had that bit of time for you, you'll then move back up to standing at the top of your mat. We're going to take all of that on the left. So coming to standing, nice steady gaze, nice and calm. So if you feel already that you're a bit up here because you know what's coming, let it go, ground down through the feet, nice and calm as you pick up the right leg and step back into a high lunge. Long lunge position, little bend in the back knee, and again, we're swinging the hips open to the right and close to the left. It might be a big movement, it might be really tiny. Doesn't matter. That little exploration. And again, finding somewhere to take a bit of stillness. Before moving into your traditional warrior one. Dropping the back heel in and down, adjusting your stance as much as you want, as much as you need to. A nice strong back leg. And try not to think too much about perfect and inverted commas alignment, but rather what's feeling good in your body. Pushing left leg to straight and turning 90 degrees to your right. And spin around so you come back into your goddess pose or your horse stance. Same thing again. Moving the hips, moving the pelvis. Hands can be on the thighs, whatever you want. As long as there's a little bit of movement happening in the pelvis, or at least a bit of focus, a bit of attention to the hips, to the pelvis. Before coming all the way up to standing, turning 90 degrees to your right, and we're moving into that pyramid pose. So we're going to set up as we need, feet wide, feet narrow, your choice, before moving into that hamstring stretch, melting, folding over the front leg. Bonus shoulders if you want them. Bit of attention to the hips, to the pelvis. They don't need to be completely square. You might feel that you get a little bit of something extra actually if you change that position, if you open them up. But can you feel sort of where your hips are, where your pelvis is? Before making your way back up to standing, turning 90 degrees to your left, resetting, wide stance, toes in a line, and again that halfway forward fold, flat back position, strong legs, strong support to the abdominals, speed skater on the left side. Still, two strong legs, nice strong spine. Push down, shift over to the right. And again, push down, shifting over to the left. And again, over to the right. And over to the left. Keep the left knee bent, shuffle your right foot in a little bit closer. You want to try and adjust so that we've got as much weight as possible on the left leg. Try and keep the body reaching forwards over the thighs. That extended right leg lifts up, taps down. Lifts up, taps down, lifts up, taps down. One more time, lifts up, steps into chair pose. Make your chair pose feel like a decent foundation for your twist. So right elbow to outside of left thigh, or right arm reaches down, left hand to low back. And again, you can stay here if you want to have a little play with a side crow. You're going to keep that twist, bring the hands down to the mat, bending the elbows, shifting the shoulders forwards. From wherever you are, take your time to come back up to standing. Nice work. Turn to the front of your mat, grab your prop. So obviously, if you're a bit restricted for space, see if you can maybe move to somewhere that has a little bit more room. Standing on the left leg this time. Swinging the right. Again, standing leg is bent, so we're not knocking it out. And we want to feel a bit wobbly, a bit off balance, a little bit sort of out of control. And that left leg doesn't have to always swing front to back. It can sort of swing around. Keep it going for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Stepping off of your prop, standing towards the top of the mat. Oh, give the legs a shake if they need it before you plant the feet. Scoop shoulders, scoop arms upwards, taking it into a fold. Through a vinyasa, or maybe you want to hang out a bit longer in your forward fold. Maybe you want to stay in a down dog. A bit of time for you. This time all you need to know is that once you've had a bit of time, you'll come to sit on your bottom with your legs in front of you. Great. So if you're still moving, keep moving. Commit yourself to that time. But once you're ready, knees bent, feet planted, hands behind you. We're going to move into a reverse tabletop or reverse plank with the legs extended, depending on your body. Fingertips underneath you for more stretch through the front of the shoulders, out to the sides for a little bit less. Make sure you start by rolling the shoulders back and lifting the chest, so you're engaging the back of the shoulders before you then lift. See if you can feel, or you can even look and see, are my hips level, or is one slightly dipped, is the other slightly dipped? Keep breathing. Strong, strong, strong. 3, 2, and slowly releasing 1. Awesome. Keeping the right leg extended, bending the left knee in and dropping it out to the side. So moving into Janu Shasana. So think sort of tree pose with the feet. And as you move into your fold, as you melt forwards over your right leg, just slightly see what's happening with the left side of your rib cage. Is it swinging open? Are you a little bit more twisted? How does it feel to keep it square? If it's very square, does it make a difference if you roll it open slightly? So a little bit of kind of curiosity, exploration in your practice, and then settling in for a bit of stillness. Releasing tension from anywhere that you don't need it, jaw, shoulders, mind. Before making your way up and out and into the second side. If it feels really kind of tight and not particularly comfortable, you can always sit up. Sorry, I should have said it before. You can always sit up on your towel or on your block. You can also bend your extended leg. That's going to immediately give you a little bit more freedom through the hamstring and through the low back. But again, as you start to move into your fold, a little bit of curiosity, bit of play with the ribs before you settle in to your stillness. Again, gently making your way out and coming once again to lie down on your back. Once you're down onto your back, take a second to pause and check in with how everything is feeling, particularly pelvis, relationship with the hips, relationship with the spine. Do you feel like you need to kind of stretch things out a little bit? Do you feel a little bit wibbly? Do you want to maybe take something to create more stability? You know, maybe a variation of those marching legs that we took at the start of the practice, but have some time to prepare yourself for Shavasana, to sort of gather up any loose ends in the movement-based part of the practice, so that you feel as ready as you possibly can for some stillness.
And feel free to take a little bit longer, but if you're ready to find your Shavasana, starting to move into a comfortable position, to move from a state of doing to a state of being, of just observing your breath, observing your thoughts, but not thinking, not engaging your brain, not getting involved in those thoughts. Focusing on your breath, using that as an anchor point, returning to it as often as you need. Starting maybe to deepen your breath, maybe just becoming a little bit more aware of sounds or sensations around you, within you, bringing movement back into your body any way that feels good. Once you feel ready to do so, just knowing that eventually you'll make your way up to a comfortable sitting position. There's no rush. When you do eventually find that seat, do take your time. When you do get there, just taking a moment to close your eyes. Again, to see if you can land in this moment, in this stillness. Can you experience this part of your practice just as fully as any other moment? Notice if there's that sense of sort of wanting to, or feeling like you're being pulled into the next thing. Can you resist it? Put it down just for a second and just be here. Notice how you're feeling. Maybe engage with that little bit of discipline to see your practice right through to the final seconds. But as always, anything which does feel good, which has been interesting, keep it, take it with you. Anything which doesn't feel great, which didn't really work for you, let it go. Don't let it weigh you down. Make space for something else. But thank you very much, all of you, as always, for joining me on a Saturday morning. I really appreciate it. But I hope you have a lovely weekend. And I think we're going to work a few little strengthening bits and pieces over the next kind of fortnight. We may need access to a wall and potentially a chair of some kind or a sofa, but I will let you know in the email. And if you're like, I don't have access to those things for whatever reason, that's fine, let me know. But as I said, I'll fire it out to you on Friday, if not before, and hopefully see you then. Thanks very much, guys. Nice to see you.
Have a good week.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lana.